Hey everybody, my name is Sam White. If you have not seen me on social media or the YouTube channel here, I'm Will White's brother and emotional confidant, and I'm here with Dave Hartman, who's one of our directors on the Cradle Animatic. Everybody say, "Yay,
Woohoo!
Dave!" in your living rooms where you can't hear it. Thanks for being here,
Awesome.
Dave. Well,
Thank
hey,
you.
it has been great working with you. We got this process started
Same.
with Jay Oliva, and he was the first person to recommend you. And then every time we brought up your name, just everyone we brought it up to was like, "Oh yeah, Dave's the best." He has a bunch of
Oh,
scary heads in
thank
his
you.
office, but aside from that, he's great. So
Yeah,
this has
I
been
love
a
my horror.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
just Halloween season, it's up all year long. So,
Good man, good man. All right. So look, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions, get some of the fans
sure.
rolling, and get you a little spotlight because of all the work you've done for us, man. You've been
Awesome.
great.
Thank
Just
you. Thank
great
you.
working with you. So the first, stereotypical interview question, how'd you get started in this space? How'd you get started in animation? What's your background?
Geez. Well, it starts long ago, many ages ago. Uh, no, I'm originally from Ohio, Midwest. I went to an art school there, a fine art school, and had a friend come out to California, and he called me up talking about this job with this thing called storyboards. And I knew about storyboarding, but I knew it like commercials and stuff. And he's like, "Oh no, this is like doing comic books, except you don't have to ink your art." I'm like, "What?" That's a dream. So I had applied at Sony Pictures Entertainment for a show called Extreme Ghostbusters, which was just starting up. That ages me. But I was straight out of school and I had applied, and they we talked back and forth, and they said, "Hey, we love your stuff." They like called me on a Thursday, said, "Can you start on Monday?" And I was like, "Oh, like this coming Monday?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I had 2 days to just pack up my life, move from a hot classic Hollywood stuff, right? I moved from Ohio to California with like maybe 200 or 300 bucks to my name, bought an air mattress, stayed with a friend, and just started doing the storyboarding thing. And within, I'd say, on Extreme Ghostbusters, we started this next show called Godzilla. And I had started as what they called a cleanup artist, which is taking, doesn't necessarily exist as much anymore. It's called a revisionist, but you're basically doing the corrections, doing the fixes on storyboards. And so if a storyboard artist moves on to the next show, if they are still notes on their old show, someone like me would come in and do the fixes. So then that same year, they bumped me up the storyboards on Godzilla, and by the end of Godzilla, they had bumped me up to director. I ended up like boarding on. There was 40 episodes of Godzilla, and we had a big team, but I ended up storyboarding on probably half the episodes.
Well,
So they
your IMDb page is one of the wildest rides because you're like
there's a
Godzilla
lot
and
of
then Winnie the
mixtures.
Pooh and then Jackie Chan Adventures and then Rob
Yeah,
Zombie films and then you're just all
yeah,
over the place.
yeah. I just like to make stuff, and once I started directing, then Rob Zombie had seen my stuff on DeviantArt, and I started doing stuff for him. Then I got mixed up with movies with Don Coscarelli on this movie Bubba Hotep, and John dies at the end, and then went on to do Phantasm. And I don't know, I just like telling stories. I like drawing. And for me, it is all the storytelling. I like the creating the moods and the atmosphere and the tempos of scenes. I don't know. I enjoy that quite a bit. So I've been
Well,
had a very fortunate career.
yeah, man. Well, that we're fortunate to have you, and that actually flows really well into my next question. That was, you did not know anything about Cradle when you joined this
I did
project.
not.
No. So what was it like learning the story and the characters, and why is Ethan your favorite character? Because he's my favorite
All right.
character.
Well, first off, I mean, to be honest with you, I was actually kind of scared of this project because look at like my wheelhouse is horror, but like I said, I like to tell stories, right? It's all about the story and a character's journey. And Jay had mentioned this project to me, so I got the first book on tape and was listening to it. And I think I was only a couple chapters in before I actually met you and Will and Rebecca. And again, I was a little worried because it's out of my wheelhouse, and the style of the animation itself was based off of Jay's drawings, which he has a very distinct, anime kind of look, which I don't normally do. So I was really honestly kind of frightened at first, but then once I started reading the story, I just really got into it. I just was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about anime and all that stuff. I just want to tell the best story I can tell for you guys. And once I showed it to you and got your guys' reaction that first time, I was just like, oh my God, these are my people.
You've expressed to us before that this is one of the most detailed animatics that you have done. And an animatic again is just storyboards, hand drawn. What did
Yeah.
you mean by most detail? Because watching it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of background detail, but I wondered how you could express that.
Yeah, and the drawing itself is still loose, right? Like I'm talking detail as in scope. Usually when you do a show, like a 22-minute television show, usually would have, 1 to 3 storyboard artists just dedicated to that 22 minutes. So you'd have 3 guys usually each taking about 7 to 8 minutes. And that's usually a matter of because of schedule, right? Because you're having it go faster that way. But you usually don't take on like an hour, right? Which is what we're doing here. And even as a director, generally you have storyboard artists. So even for me and Jay, we're actually boarding our own scenes. Um, that's a challenge, but I'm having more fun than I've had in years on this project because I'm drawing what I see and having the time to do it gives us that time to like put some shading in, spend a little more time on the acting. We have things like the snow scene, just dropping in snow. A lot of animatics that's do this for feature film and stuff, but for usually for what um we were kind of doing on the budget we were trying to do it at the beginning, uh I call that detail. Like we're putting in a lot more pose outs and things and stuff, but I mean, I'm having more fun than I've had in years working on this. I'm honestly have a blast drawing these characters. And to
Uh,
go back to one of your earlier questions, Ethan, I love that character, and maybe it's because he's so contrary to everything else that happens around. There's like this Doctor Who-esque vibe to him, and that he's seen so much and knows so much that no one's really a threat to him, so he's just more inspired by the world around him and reacts uh again contrary to what you would think someone would act. I kind of related in a way where I really love that character. He's my favorite. And I had that first opening, I had to go full on staying alive, showing the feet, showing the beautiful hair bouncing, like all this stuff that's very prim and proper to him. Like he took the time to do his hair, right? He's going out in public.
Ace would be very proud of the volume and definition you gave to his hair, for sure. Everything you said about him
Awesome.
having more knowledge than everybody, being more aware, that is a prevailing theme throughout the rest of the books. That's all I'll say.
Awesome. I can't
Yeah.
wait till we get there. Let's draw those.
Speaking of which, man, you're just helping me with the transition so much here. For people that don't understand the animation industry, because this was a lot that hard for me to understand until you get into it and get working with it, right?
Yeah.
What would it take to turn this into full animation, aside from the obvious like
Yeah.
money, right? But how
Right.
would that look? How would the animators take your storyboard, take the animatic, and layer it into full animation? How does that
Yeah.
work?
It actually probably wouldn't be that hard in that we actually pose this thing out very well. It's a
Okay.
lot of drawings, and it's more than like someone myself or Jay or anyone else if we put a team together to handle. It's a lot of work, but they've done it, for decades and decades. So overseas draws the whole thing. For us, uh what we would have to do in the storyboard is we drew it for an animatic, to be honest. And a lot of time you would have arrows where this character is pointing. There would be scene descriptions written for each panel. So every single drawing, at least me personally, I do this, and I ask my team to do it, is right. If it needed another drawing, if it warranted a new drawing, you need to say what's happening different in that drawing.
Right.
So we have director's notes and scene descriptions. So there's a lot of writing that happens. Then there's a lot of organizing, which is every single character, every prop, everything they touch has to be accounted for and would have to have a design made for it, a model designed for it. So in a storyboard, there are things like Jay and I, Yaren trips over a rock or whatever. That rock would actually have to be designed and sent as well to overseas, and so that when they have three or four different animators, they all have the same designs and models to look off of. So in the animatic, you'll see like when my drawing looks nothing like the character designs, and that's because I'm telling a story. I'm trying to get, for the most part, the proportions correct, the acting correct. But it is overseas who takes that knowledge, takes whatever description and scene description I write about what that character's feeling at that moment, how they're reacting to something, any detail we find important, and then they draw it on model. So they actually make it look like the design. But our job in an animatic is a blueprint to the story, right? It's a blueprint to the house. We don't necessarily lay the stucco, but we do kind of figure out the foundation of how that house is going to be built. If that
And
makes
that was
sense.
one thing that I had trouble describing to people because I've already seen it, right? So we did
Right.
a fully animated concept trailer that's fully animated. It's beautiful.
Hmm.
And I was there watching all the steps along, and I couldn't get when we were at the animatic phase, I had several notes of saying like, Ethan's face looks like a giraffe, or like,
Yeah,
this
right.
doesn't work. And Jay was just going, trust the process, trust the process. At the end,
Right.
it will look like this. Even though it's hand drawn right now, it will all be on a uniform model. And that was
Hmm.
still my dumb brain. I couldn't wrap my head around that until I saw the final product and was A, blown away, and
Yeah.
then be
I,
like,
I always
oh,
treat it
I
like
see.
you're filming your movie before you film your movie,
Right.
which is these are the stand-ins. Your actors will come in later and know exactly what they need to do for that shot. But right now, we're figuring out the story, we're figuring out the camera angles, and there's always notes on things, right? So we don't always spend forever making sure the nose is just drawn correctly at that angle. There's no sense in doing that when I still have about 10,000 other drawings
Yeah.
of getting the story figured out, where you don't know what your pacing will be, what the emotion of the scene is. So you want to get all that figured out. That's the blueprint. And then again, when it goes overseas, they'll make it all pretty and put it on models. Now, when they send it back, if he still looks like a giraffe, we're going to call that note,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we have those models and say, that's where we say it's off model, because their job is to make it look like the designs. And then as in animatics, we make it as close as we can, but it's more about, again, acting, proportions, and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, Dave, man, it has just been an absolute pleasure working with you. I love your
You
work.
as well.
You just it's great to work with somebody who hits and exceeds every deadline, does a great job, just all
Thank
the
you.
stuff looks great. So thank you for being the professional you are. And
Uh,
it's so weird that we've been working together for like over a year now. I've never actually
isn't that
met you.
weird?
So
I
maybe next
know.
week I get to actually
Next
meet.
week, next week. But man, I'm literally having a blast. This is again, as a director, it's a lot of management, right? It's a lot of moving people around. I'm going back and really doing what I love, which is telling the story. And as a storyboard artist, you're the cinematographer, right? There's a director, but now I also get to be the guy holding the camera, picking the shots, and making sure the actors hit their marks and all that. And that's the fun stuff for me. So thank you guys for also giving me this opportunity to really dig in and have fun. And in this world, the Cradle world is so vast and so epic. And I was so timid at first to jump in, but man, once I got in, I just had fun with absolutely every character is taken over, and Cradle is a big part of my life now.
Good.
And I'm a
As it
forever,
should be, as it
forever a
should be
fan.
with everyone. Agreed. Well, thanks,
Absolutely.
Dave. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
And can't wait to show this to everybody. Can't wait for all the backers to get it. You're going to love the work. Dave Hartman, again, go check out his IMDb page, Wild Ride, a sideshow monkey art.
Yes, Sideshow Monkey.
Sideshow monkey.
SideshowMonkey.com is my website, but you can find me on Instagram at David Hartman Art.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you,
I get to
Sam.
see you in a week. Go team.
I know it's gonna be fun.